Lazar Hart here, your Congruent Living expert for creatives, for seekers, for those of you asking for a movement from it's impossible to I am truly possible. And that's what we're talking about this month on our Congruent Living Q As. What else is possible for you for that relationship that you've been asking for? Now, we've covered the idea of choosing for you, right? Choosing what you want in a relationship that actually works for you. We're going to be playing with that a little deeper today. So my question for you is, are you willing to step into the choices that you're choosing? Now, it's one thing to say, well, I'm going to choose this, or I'm going to choose that, or I'm never going to choose this, or I'm always going to choose that. The other is to actually be in the question of your life and your living and choose. Now, the universe rewards action. So in choosing, it means actually energetically being totally present with what you're choosing for you. Now, we've talked about if you're looking for a relationship with somebody else, check in on that kind of relationship that you're looking for and ask yourself, would I be willing to be that for me? And we've talked a little bit about what that takes. So I'm going to open that up a little bit more as well here today. It takes an honoring of your word to you. So how many times do we put aside what we're asking to create, what we've chosen to create? Because somebody else comes along and says, oh, could you do this for me? Or you don't mind doing that later, or being that later, right? Could you be this for me? Well, that actually doesn't work in creating a juicy, joyous, orgasmic relationship with you. And remember what we were talking about last week. It's the energies and the vibrations of what you're putting out that has the energies and vibrations matching what you're pulling in. So, for instance, when I met Ricky, he was really involved in his own life, very sporty guy, and creating his own life, had lots of friends, had a very nurturing environment that he loved to live in, had two beautiful boys that he was playing with. And I came along and I also had all the juicy, joyous things that I love to do: travel, create, paint, cook, be present, be inquisitive, going back to school, studying painting, getting a master's in painting, getting certifications in coaching, all of those things I continue doing as we created our relationship together. All of those things he continued doing, loving his boys, adding in two girls, little girls, continuing to play sports with his friends, loving the guys that he worked with and the women that he worked with in his field of choice, adventuring, traveling, curiosity, humor. These are all things that we brought to each other, that we maintained, chose to maintain for ourselves. And that's the whole thing about relationships. Are you willing to choose to maintain what brings you joy, to cultivate curiosity and what else would bring you joy? Again, I can't express it enough. If you're willing to live in the vibrations of curiosity, abundance, adventure, kindness, caring, space, living in the question of being you, I wonder, living in wonderment. If those are the energies that create greater for you, and they certainly do for myself and for Ricky, then when you meet somebody, those energies are going to just, they'll be seamless. Now, we've been together for more than 43 years. And we've had our bumps and our ups and our downs. And all through that, Ricky's always been honoring his voice to him. Oh, that's Ricky right now. He must be listening to this conversation. He's always been honoring his voice to him, and I've always been honoring my voice to myself. So what's the target of this conversation? It's about owning you, right? That's true self-care. Owning trusting you, knowing you, what brings you joy, not ever willing to give up on you, to be present with you. So go out 6 months, a year, 6 years from now? What is it that you're asking to create with your life? Right? With your life, what are your targets? Are they aligned with the people that you're with? If they're not, ask some questions. Don't change you for someone else. Because who you be, what you be, and the energy of what you be, that juicy, joyous being that came here, right, as an infinite being and chose a body for this earth school experience, that's who you truly be. So if you're asking to attract more people in your life and living, be that. Check in with yourself. Have a re-listen to this. Check in with yourself. This is that moment of truth for you in creating and having the courage to create a juicy, joyous, orgasmic relationship with you. Remember, you create that with you. It sends out the vibrations that attract like vibrations, that attract like vibrations, that attract like vibrations, and on we go. How does it get any juicier than that? Mwah! I love you. Comments right here on our Congruent Living Facebook for creators and seekers, the best place to have our conversations. And I check in every day. So if you're too shy and you have some comments, that's okay. You still want to have a conversation with me? Please DM me, right? Private message me, and I'll have that conversation with you. If you're in the question of where do I go from here, let's have a conversation, right? Call it a coffee date, call it a strategy session, call it whatever you want. Reach out to me, right? Let's see what we can create together, because life is too short to be wasted on the sidelines waiting to have a relationship with you. I wonder what else is possible. Live boldly, love greatly, and be that fearless leader that you came here to be. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.